There was a priest who said if he could live 100 times, or 99 more times, he'd be a priest again, every single time. And that just kind of struck me. I did not, I had viewed the priesthood as a sacrifice or something, like, oh, I'm open to it, but I definitely don't want to. But so that was the very first seed planted where I came home and I talked to my parents about it. And I was like, can you believe the priest said that? And my name is Aaron Ripplinger, and I'm a new seminarian for the Diocese of Bismarck. So I grew up in a loving Catholic family. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. And so growing up, it was a very quiet upbringing. I really enjoyed sports. And we would go to Mass every Sunday as a family. That was a big thing for us, but our faith necessarily didn't go far beyond that. Growing up, I was involved in CCD and things. And so I always wanted my faith to be a big part of my life, but it really wasn't a huge priority as far as growing up. And then confirmation in high school, that was kind of a next leg up for me in my faith. Really started to prioritize it a little bit more, but still wasn't necessarily a priority. My prayer life wasn't anything beyond maybe in the evenings. But it's something that I've always wanted. I went to a few Steubenville conferences during the summers and really just felt on fire for my faith. But then when I would come back, I'd be a little bit upset with myself just because I wasn't able to live out the life that I wanted to live just with the lifestyle I had chose for myself. But so as far as the first time I had felt a call to the priesthood, or at least even considered it, was probably at one of those Steubenville conferences. The priest who was running the whole weekend, the last day, he called down everybody who was felt open to the priesthood, and he basically almost every guy was down there on the floor. He called us like, okay, now even if you're even a little bit open to it, come down. And so that was the first time I was like, okay, I went down. I was like, okay, well, like hopefully that wasn't anything, But something else struck me that same conference. There was a priest who said if he could live 100 times, or 99 more times, he'd be a priest again, every single time. And that just kind of struck me. I did not, I had viewed the priesthood as a sacrifice or something, like, oh, I'm open to it, but I definitely don't want to. But so that was the very first seed planted where I came home and I talked to my parents about it. And I was like, can you believe the priest said that? And, and so I was kind of my first experience with that. But then I ended up getting into a dating relationship that was pretty serious and pretty committed throughout high school. So then in going to college, I went to NDSU and I was a business major. And that's where my girlfriend was as well. So upon arriving at college, I already kind of had a group of friends, and then also quickly made friends with the people in my dorms. And that lifestyle definitely was not very conducive to living out my Catholic faith, kind of more of a party lifestyle. But also in coming to college, I also took it as an opportunity to grow in my faith, starting new habits and things. So I did make my prayer life a priority, and I quickly got involved in a Bible study with St. Paul's Newman Center in Fargo, Bison Catholic on campus. And so that was the start of growing in my faith and making it more of a priority. So I still was hanging out a lot with these friends who liked to party, but then also I was growing with a new group of friends who were Catholic and meeting in Bible study once a week. So for a while, that first semester, I was kind of living both lives and was pretty happy to, new college experience, enjoying it, and then also growing my faith, which I've wanted to do my entire life. So felt pretty good about things. But then that did not last long, because quickly I would be at Mass on Sunday and not be at peace, and, go to Bible study and really want more, but then not really able to do it. But then a turning point for me was when I had first got to know the friends in my Bible study more, and started to grow more comfortable with them, and, the idea of being Catholic and have this being a priority. But then what really sticks out is a couple of conversations I had with some of the missionaries the Focus missionaries who were a part of Bison Catholic, Aaron Filson in particular. Just in talking to him, I noticed the joy that he had, and it was tangible, and I could sense it, and it stayed with me. And so that, and then just also getting to know more of the people from the Bison Catholic community that are thriving, all on fire for the Lord, and just joyful and authentic friends. And so once I started to taste that, it became blatantly obvious that living this life that I've always wanted to live is what's going to make me the most happy. So at this point, I decided I was going to go all in, and it kind of timed up perfectly with Christmas break. So I had told my other friends that I wasn't going to be partying. I wasn't going to be really hanging out in that sort of sense. I still wanted to be friends, but not, in that context. And then I started to just dive into my faith in these other Catholic friendships, and the Lord really started to move in my life. I was reading Introduction to the Devout Life at the time by St. Francis of Sales, and that the Spirit was really moving through that and helped me through a lot of that transition of, changing friend groups and all of that. And then, just continuing to grow closer with these friends and this Bible study. And I did Exodus 90, which is basically an extended Lent, a little bit more rigorous, and you do it with a group of guys. So just really started to grow closer to Jesus. And through that then is when I started to really take this call to the priesthood more seriously. And so there's a couple of events that kind of stick out to me or things. And so one of them is that I just really had a desire to lead others to Christ and invite people to Bible study, or I just met with some friends just more intentionally for dinner or for lunch, just to get to know them and talk to them about their faith. And I just really, really enjoyed those conversations. And then also I was reading Fulton Sheen, one of his books, and it just lit me up one day at work. I just remember I was the only one in there, and I was reading, and just all of a sudden kind of lit up on fire. And I was just thinking to myself, I need to be leading a Bible study. I need to be showing people this. This is amazing, the way that he's writing. And I went to the copier. I printed out a couple pages to give on my friend. I was like, oh, Noah's going to love this. And I just was really intently going through the parts that I had sticky noted, what had stuck out to me. And after that experience, I just knew that something had happened, and I knew that the Spirit was moving. And so just kind of through these experiences and growing in my faith, I started to sit back and realize, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm not a decisive person by any means, but I just knew more than anything, I wanted to lead a Bible study. I wanted to be a Focus missionary after meeting with the Focus missionary more. I wanted to serve. I wanted to do these things. And then also, what do priests do? They meet with people. They help them through their faith. They learn more about the faith. They, what do seminarians do? This spiritual reading, this, learning about the faith. And it's what I love to do. And so that was kind of where I was like, okay, I need to take this seriously. And I was in this relationship, and she was also growing in her faith, so it was tough. Leading up to Easter, it was with our relationship, it was kind of started to become clear that something was off, or something, we were both growing in our faith and things were going great. It was were we supposed to get engaged soon? But just wasn't at peace and didn't know what it was. So really kind of wrestled with that all the way up until the Holy Thursday Mass, my freshman year of college, which would have been 2 years ago now. And just the readings were on the washing of the feet. And again, Exodus 90, and this has all kind of led up to this point. And just with the priest's sermon on the washing with the feet, and the image that he portrayed of Jesus, his heart for his disciples and serving them. And it just really struck me in a profound way. And I didn't really know why or what necessarily, but it was clear to me after that I needed to break up with my girlfriend at the time, and then discern this call full time, or devote myself to this potential calling. And I needed to grow as a person. So after that, I had mixed feelings about the priesthood. Sometimes I would want to, sometimes I was like, oh no, what am I getting myself into? So it was kind of this back and forth. And then I quickly realized that I needed to grow personally in my relationship with Christ first, and kind of, in a sense, put this question of the priesthood on the shelf. I was going to consider it. I knew it was important, but I knew I just needed to grow closer to Jesus first. And so that summer, and then leading up to this past school year at NDSU, that's what I did. I just prayed. I, spent a lot more time and got to really close with some of the guys there who were very Catholic and very good men and helped me out. And so I started to meet with Father Dosh, the vocations director, throughout the year, and then I led Bible study, led some guys, walked more intentionally with them in the discipleship program there at NDSU, helped lead a retreat. And so through this experience at NDSU, then just my love for the Lord grew, and I started to just slowly be detached from other things. I used to really like sports. Being a business major, always wanted to own my own business, make a lot of money, and all that stuff I just didn't really care about. I'd be in class and I'd try to figure out how it could relate to the faith or, truths about humanity. And that's what I was like thinking of. And I would talk to my friend during class, like relating it to Bible study and whatnot, and not necessarily paying attention to, I still did pay attention and care, but my desires definitely were all just almost to where it was all day long, just thinking about my faith, my relationship with the Lord, how I can serve and bring others to Christ. And so then over Christmas break this past year, the SEEK conference in January, that's where I had a detached perspective retreat, really able to just, okay, here's what's happened. And reflecting on all of it, I just knew that the next step was to talk to Father Dosh. I didn't know if this meant I was going to seminary or be a priest or whatever. I just saw all these reasons why I thought that I might be called to be a priest. And so shortly after that, a couple weeks, I had lunch with Father Dosh and I just laid it all out with him. And then after that conversation, it became very clear the next step for me was seminary. And just that, if I were to date somebody, it would not be fair to them or to this discernment process with the church. And just that, knowing that a year at the seminary is going to make me a better man no matter what my vocation is. So I had started to fill out the application. It started to become more real. And then in March of this past year, I visited a seminary in Nebraska where the Fargo Diocese sends their seminarians. And that was kind of in doing that is where I just found a ton of peace in all of it, and kind of was like my assurance that this is what I'm called to do. Just being around the seminarians, it became clear that a year at the seminary is going to be fruitful no matter what. And but this is where I wanted to be. After that, I had called my family and told them that this is what I'm going to do. And of course it's the Lord's will, and I don't know exactly what's next after this point, but I'm excited to be going to DC for seminary, and excited to see where the Lord brings me.